What's going on, Colts Nation? I appreciate you joining me for another video. Today, we're going to talk a little bit about free agency, kind of about the draft too, because the combine is going to be included in this conversation. But what we're going to talk about is franchise tagging. There was a tweet that came out last night from Adam Schefter that kind of put into perspective kind of what we're looking at in terms of franchise tags and when we're going to get some answers about some of these guys. So, starting Tuesday, which is February 20th, NFL teams are going to be able to designate franchise and transition players. So this is where franchise tags are going to get used, and that's going to be up until March 5th, okay, from February 20th, 2024 to March 5th, 2024. And some of the names on this list, you have guys like Josh Allen from the Jaguars, the defensive end. You also have Saquon Barkley, Brian Burns, another defensive end, Kyle Duggar, a very highly touted safety, somebody that's been very good. T. Higgins, of course, on this list and has been talked about plenty on this channel. Josh Jacobs, also on this list. Jalen Johnson, the cornerback from the Bears, is on this list. He'd be a really good addition. A lot of people wanting Jalen Johnson to test free agency, and maybe he could end up on the Colts. That'd be great news. You also have defensive tackle Justin Matabuke on this list. Baker Mayfield's on this list. Christian Wilkins is on this list, and safety Antoine Winfield, who again has been mentioned by a lot of Colts fans. Like, this is a guy we might need to go get to shore up the back end of that secondary that is so young. So maybe that's a good thing. If he doesn't get tagged, he might get tagged. But if he doesn't get tagged and he tests free agency, there definitely going to be a contingency of Colts fans that are going to want Antoine Winfield. And there are more free agents than that. Those are the ones that were on Adam Schefter's tweet. Colts also have their own, right? Michael Pittman, what's going to happen with him? Kenny Moore, what's going to happen with him? And a lot of these answers, I think we're going to end up getting more next week instead of this week. Okay, the combine is going to be from Monday, February 26th to Monday, March 4th. So there's going to be a week in there where you get pretty much no action, in my opinion, going to be next to no action in that first week of being able to franchise tag guys, at least the big name guys. But in my opinion, that second week, I think it's going to be more middle to late week in that second week. And the reason I think that is because I think there are going to be teams looking at some of these high profile kind of positions like wide receiver, running back, defensive end, linebacker, safety. Like, these are some important positions. So I think there are going to be teams that are going to want to say, okay, let's wait and let's see these guys do their combine. Let's see their measurables. Let's see how they look on the field. Let's get our eyes on them in real time. So I think teams are going to want to see that. And then I think they're going to start to make their decisions as they, get through the week and they start tweaking their draft boards and there are different calls happening. They're going to say, okay, maybe we can, let this guy go. We can try to draft somebody if we need to. Or they're going to say, okay, we don't know just how confident we are in the guys coming out of this draft compared to the guy we know we can go ahead and tag and keep on the team. We'll just figure out how to build around that salary. And that's going to be an avenue some of these teams are going to go, right? Like, T. Higgins feels like a guy that could get tagged, but it'd be great if he tested free agency. Antoine Winfield could get tagged, but he's probably going to test free agency. Jalen Johnson, he kind of wants to stay in Chicago, at least, maybe it's a business decision by him saying he wants to stay in Chicago. But if he were to leave Chicago, then it'd be great to have him on the Colts. So there are a lot of different options, so many big name guys. And with this coming up, I just thought it was relevant. We've been doing so much draft talk. Free agents have kind of bit the dust for a little while, but this is coming up. Free agency is right around the corner, and the combine also right around the corner here. So it's a big time, big week coming up, and we'll see what happens. I think the ideal situation, at least in my head, would be that maybe we franchise tag Michael Pittman Jr. or we just sign him to a contract, and then T. Higgins ends up testing free agency, and we end up getting T. Higgins. Then we have T. Higgins, Michael Pittman Jr., and Josh Downs as the wide receivers. You have JT in the backfield, AR. Then you end up with Ashton Doolin and Alec Pierce as depth pieces for the wide receivers. Like, all of a sudden, looking pretty good at wide receiver. And then if you move over to the defensive side, it'd be nice to have Josh Allen, but it sounds like he's going to end up getting the franchise tag there in Jacksonville. So if Brian Burns isn't somebody that gets the franchise tag, then I think bringing Brian Burns in would be pretty nice. Right? You bring in a veteran pass rusher, somebody you know is good in that position, and then you draft in the secondary again, right? Draft a corner, one of the corners that we've talked about at the number 15 overall pick. Right now, I think this is where I am with it. Sign a receiver, that being T. Higgins, sign a defensive end, whether it's Josh Allen or Brian Burns, then draft a corner. I think that's a good plan for this offseason. I think that would make us a lot better going into 2024. And of course, I'd like to know your opinion on all this. Any updates that happen that pertain to anything that we've talked about, any of these big name free agents or any of our guys. I will for sure let you guys know. So make sure you're subscribed with notifications on so you get notified when any videos come out, when any updates come out. And of course, I appreciate you stopping by for another video. And as always, take care of yourself, take care of each other, and go Colts.